Hello to all you guitarists out there and welcome to Coda Guitar's Level 1 lesson on chord changing. So hopefully you can play a little bit by now and you've had a go at some of our beginner lessons and hopefully even some of the beginner songs. So you've had a go at some of the three-fingered chords and changing between them and hopefully also playing in time, either with our drum machine or hopefully the backing tracks for the songs. So what we're doing here is today we're going to be looking at just some fairly simple chord sequences, just using the beginner level chords, but we're going to be looking at adding a little bit more energy, a bit more momentum to the rhythm, to the strumming. And we're going to be doing that through playing some open strums in between the chord changes. Now, the open strings don't sound particularly musical. We're not playing them because we like the sound of it. It's purely for the rhythm, because hopefully we'll be playing fast enough so that we can't really hear the open strings that prominently. It's just gives it more of an interesting feel, basically. So I was just playing there using C in that example before, C, G and D. There's a couple of other bits, but it was just based around those chords. So say for example, if I played one bar of C and then I finished on a G afterwards, it'd sound a little bit like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, that's fine, it's in time. Maybe the strumming pattern, the rhythm wasn't, it could have been a bit more interesting. It's not quite how famous guitarists often play, basically. What people often do is they keep this rhythm going. They've got a bit of independence of movement between these two hands, and so they can keep this rhythm going regardless of what's happening with your changes, your chord changes and whatnot. So I'm going to put an extra upstroke in there, in between, right at the end of the bar, just before I change to the G. Like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now that was actually an open strum there, it was the open strings. I went C on a downstroke and then an upstroke open and then G on the next downstroke. Now that just extra strum, it just sort of fills in the gap in between the chords. It just makes it flow better. If I play without the open strum though, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's all right. I've practiced these chords, so I can just about manage that. But I've got to move much more quickly. If you can see that second one, hopefully it looks like I'm just a bit more relaxed when I'm changing between the chords, and that's going to mean I'll have a much better chance of nailing the next chord, the G in this case, because I'm not rushing into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to play C, G and D. Now if you're struggling with any of these chords, ton of beginner lessons, plenty of free ones, so you can have a look at some of these earlier ones. If you can play the individual chords, so if you can play a C and it sounds all right, it doesn't sound like this, or if you can make them ring through nicely, then carry on, and this is going to be dead useful. If you're struggling with the chords, then go back and review some of the earlier lessons. So what we're going to do is we're going to, just to start with, we're going to play a C, an open up stroke and a G with the next downstroke. C down, open up, G down, and then open up and D down as well afterwards. So literally C, open, G, open, D. So probably a good idea to pause this and have a little go at that yourself, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So how was that? Hopefully not too bad. One of the things I find with people who are not too experienced on the guitar is sometimes they can be pretty sort of heavy, pretty tense with the fretting hand. Really important that you stay as relaxed as you possibly can. Okay, so if you look at my C shape, it's quite different to the G, even though they're open chords. I'm reaching round much more for the G and somewhere in between for the D. So the C, I'm almost cradling, the G, I'm reaching right round, the D, somewhere in between. So the trick is keep your whole arm as relaxed as possible. Your fingers are kind of like the focal point, and they're moving like my whole arm is being sort of pulled into the new direction by my fingers. So what we're aiming to do is we're aiming to get all 3 fingers down together for each of the chords. So we need to kind of make the shape over the top of the strings, and so to do that, the best way to do it is to move your hand into the new position as opposed to forcing it with your fingers, because again I'm a little bit too tense there because I haven't moved my hand, and so my fingers are just too flat, too much straight tension there, and it sounds a bit rough. So just practice this. Down, open dead slowly, try and make the shape, try and get all 3 fingers down together. And if you want to, again, just practice that on your own. But what we'll do is we'll just go around that just 2 times. C, open, G, open, D, and do it all again, dead slowly. Okay, so like this. If you want to join in, so 3, 4, so C, open, G, open, D, back to C, back to G, back to D. So again, feel free to pause this, might be useful. What we're going to do now is we're going to play an actual rhythm. So we're going to play each chord for 1 bar, and we're going to play C, G, D, and back to G, and then we're going to do it all again. So again, if you're a little bit unfamiliar with 4 beats in a bar and down and up strums and whatnot, free beginner lessons. As long as you logged into the site, plenty of free ones that you can have a look at, which will explain all of this. I'm just assuming that you already kind of know what you're doing a little bit. So the rhythm is going to be like this. We're going to play a downstroke on beat 1, and then just alternate down and up all the way through beats 2, 3, 4, and the final upstroke at the end of the bar, that's the open. So it would be like this very quickly. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. And we're going to do that for every single chord. I'm going to go around this twice. Obviously you can rewind the video. So we're just going to dive straight in, and if you join in with me after 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Open G, 2, and 3, and 4. Open D, 2, and 3, and back to G, and G, 2, and 3, and back to C, 2, 3, 4 to G, 2, 3, 4 to D, 2, 3, 4, and so. Play along with this video game by all means. Practice it on your own, just at your own speed. Again, beginners often have a tendency, or inexperienced guitarists have a tendency of going a bit too quickly often. So really try and hold back on the speed. You know, it's not a race. Make it sound musical. Try and get that pulse. Doesn't matter how slow it is. Try and get a pulse through the changes, and then you can speed it up. So a great thing to do is to use our free drum machine on the website in the tools page. That would be great. That was maybe about 60 BPM, something like that. So if you start somewhere 50, 60, 70, find a comfortable tempo where it's easy, and then you can speed it up from there.